Just doing a quick 2-minute countdown and we can go. I'm putting it down to 2 minutes. So, I'm just streaming it live, so it's at 1:55 now. So it's probably a second or two delay if you're looking at the screen. Minute 15. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know why. It's just good to make sure it's all up and running. Still working I'm still trying to improve my process, and this is kind of one of them where it's like constant improvements, and my tinkering knows no bounds, so it's 30 seconds. Hey everybody, Dragon Movie Guy here. Welcome to my August movie releases live stream video. We are looking at all of the movies coming out in August 2023 rather, the final month of the summer 2023 summer movie season. So I hope it's been a great summer at the movies for you guys, and we're looking forward to August 2023. And as this is the first day of August as we're recording this, we are in August 2023, as I vamp for no apparent reason. There are lots of great indie movies coming out in August. Not a ton of blockbusters. Most of those are already out in theaters, but if you love indie movies as much as I do and as much as my guest does, then this is the perfect video podcast stream to watch for you, because we have a ton of those all the way up and down our August movie rankings. Joining me now is a man who is on his second visit to Dragon Movie Guy. This is a man who focuses on horror movies. He is recently monetized on his channel. He is Davey from the 80's. His channel is Cinema Chop Shop. Please welcome to the channel, to Dragon Movie Guy, Davey from the 80's of Cinema Chop Shop. Welcome. Thank you for coming back.
Thank you for inviting me to the Dragon Lair.
Yeah. Still trying to find out the best labels for all of my fans, and you're right. The Dragon's Lair. That is
the Dragon's Lair. That's nice, right?
I like that.
You actually gave me one of the most hardest tasks in the world, like to find a reasonable amount of movies to make a list to watch in August. This is a hard task. It's a very hard task. It is not that easy. I had to go through trailers. I had to do some soul searching. I think I went on a vision quest. It's like there was a lot of complications during this quest, man. But I've come back from the other side with a list of at least 7 damn movies that I'll be willing to watch in the month of August. So
yeah, and that's part of the fun of doing these monthly lists is yeah, I mean August it's part of summer movie season, but it's not like everyone kind of goes on vacation traditionally in August, so movie theaters know that, studios know that, so they don't generally drop a ton of Mission Impossible or Star Wars level movies in August. So I love this time of year because it lets us look at not just the blockbusters, but the indie movies that aren't the 4 quadrant tentpole movies. I think we love those too, but this is a good time of year to catch up on a lot of the artisanal, the artistic, the artiste auteur filmmakers that hopefully aren't too full of themselves and are going to tell a story. Because that's one of the things too with indie films is you can tell so many stories that you can't tell in a $200 or $300 million budget film. You can't get very specific. You can't take a lot of risks. You got to do all of the usual stuff. And we all love those films, but you can take a lot more risks if the budget is a lot smaller. And if it doesn't make a ton of money, then it's not as much of a loss.
Indie movies always have 2 things going for them. Usually the cinematography is on point, and then also it's a unique story. Now, will that story be executed in a good manner? It's questionable. Or that's the big one. But usually the cinematography in independent films are really great, and the concept or story that they came up with is a pretty interesting idea. It's just, was it done? Was it executed well? Those are the questions that always need to be asked. And do we know if any movies were impacted? I don't think so. But are any movies that were supposed to come out in August in any way impacted by writing, the strike, or anything?
I don't believe so. I've seen some headlines dealing with the writer's strike for TIFF, for the Toronto International Film Festival, and some of the other film festivals coming out in September, like Labor Day, September, October, kind of. My guess is that's just because indie films are so reliant upon the big stars that star in them for very low fees. So, when you're an indie movie and you don't have millions and millions of dollars for budgeting for TV commercials, you're kind of reliant upon those stars to be able to go on the Tonight Show to talk about their movie. And with actors now being on strike too, there's no Tonight Show to go on the air too, and the actors can't cross the picket lines to promote their movies. So I've seen a lot of those.
Also filming reshoots if needed.
Yeah.
That's out the window. So that's what I was wondering. Like, is there any movie that they might have screened last month, and then maybe they got some feedback and they're like, ooh, we should reshoot a couple of these scenes. And now you can't because the actors are on strike, and now whatever it is you have to go with it now.
Yeah, and I don't know if my guess is that anything this close in terms of August and September is probably already done, because with the writer's strike starting in early May, my guess is that they're probably already done in the pipeline. But a lot of films have been stopping production, like Deadpool 3 and a few others have stopped production as first the writer's striking, now the writers and the actors are on strike. So I don't know. I don't think it's going to affect any releases in the immediate future, but I think as we start getting a little bit further along, we've already seen some movies get pushed from late 2023 into 2024. So
I have a random question for you before we start the list.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear about the movie about the Wizard of Oz called Gale that was supposed to come out this year?
A Gale, as in Gael, kind of like
Gale, Gale.
No, I didn't.
Okay, never mind. I was gonna say, what the hell happened to that movie, because that movie was supposed to come out. It's supposed to be like, I want to say is it Dorothy? Dorothy came back. Supposedly Dorothy came back from Oz. She's like an old lady or whatever, and everybody thinks she's crazy that she just imagined all this stuff that happened in Oz. Like, they just think she's just a senile lady that's tripping. And I don't know. It's called it was called Gale.
Well, it makes sense. Her
never return to Oz or something like that. I forgot what it was called.
That makes sense. Dorothy's last name is Gale. It's Dorothy Gale. And fast winds are called Gale Force winds. So the fact that she went through a tornado, that would make sense as a title for a Wizard of Oz style film. But I
It
have
was
not.
called Gale Stay Away from Oz. That's what it was called.
Interesting. I have not.
The trailer looks super interesting.
The trailer's out already?
Yeah, the trailer's old. The trailer came out at the beginning of the year. I thought the movie was supposed to come out in like April.
Oh, okay.
I was like, I don't know. It just kind of fell off the face of the earth. I was just wondering maybe if you heard something, because it hit me the other day. I'm like, what the hell happened to that movie? Like, I was like, it was supposed to come out and never did. So.
No, I with all of the trailer watching that I do and all of the all of the websites that I'm always on, I'm actually shocked that I haven't heard of it or seen the trailer for it already. Because even like there's a couple of indie movie theaters here in Vegas that I go to, and a lot of times I'll see trailers in front of those indie movies in the theater before I even see them online. So the fact that I haven't even heard of that is amazing.
I love watching indie movies and seeing indie trailers. I'm in the movie theater like, all right, let me write that down real quick. What's the name of that movie? Because you're never going to run across this damn trailer again. So you have to write it down. Like, I remember we saw, I think it was Lose, that movie I was telling you about, Lose. We went to see that movie, and then we saw the trailer for like 3 movies that we wanted to see. It was that Takashi Miike movie, First Love. There was that one. And then it was this movie called This Is Not Berlin, which is a movie filmed in Mexico. It's about like the synth wave rock movement in Mexico / artsy movement. And then there's one more. It was another movie about this cult with snakes or whatever, but I don't remember the name of it. There's another one. What is the name of that damn movie? Piranhas. Piranhas. That's an Italian movie. That one's good.
Huh.
But yeah, those are excellent films. Oh yeah, and Nightingale too. Have you seen The Nightingale?
The name sounds familiar, but I don't remember off the top of my head.
The director did that was their second movie that they did, and they have a pretty good track. Let me see.
Is it off of Florence Nightingale, World War II nurse kind of thing, or?
Nah, it's about this you know how in Australia they used to send the people there to do they were like prisoners, and they had to labor their way around. Yeah. So there's this girl that was a laborer, and she's basically working herself and her husband and her family to get off the island of Australia because they're almost done with their sentence. And then you have like the British soldiers there being douches or whatever. And one of the captains of the British soldier does something really horrible to her, and then it becomes a revenge film. And then it becomes a revenge flick.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, she's the director for Babadook.
Oh, okay.
That was her second film. That was her second big film.
Dang.
The Nightingale.
Lots of films I still need to look up. Definitely. That's awesome. Yeah, I got to look up all those now. Because I love hearing about indie movies and trailers, and if I haven't seen it, or even if I have, like sometimes when you're seeing those trailers in front of an indie movie, and then by the time that 2 or 3 hour indie movie's done and you're going home, you're thinking about the movie you just watched and not the trailers that were on beforehand. So, I definitely got to look up those films for sure.
Yeah, they're great films. They're great films. Do you ever feel like compelled to like an indie movie just because of like you feel like it was going somewhere and it might be a little artsy and it just kind of like spoke to you, but deep down in your heart you knew it was a bad movie, or it just wasn't your kind of movie?
No, I think the bar gets a little bit lower for indie movies than it does for a big blockbuster. So I don't feel like compelled to like something. At least I don't generally. But I do. I think the bar is lowered because I do tend to give. I give more points for trying, for the effort of it all, because if even an indie movie is going to spend, generally speaking, $2 million.
Damn, so I go into indie movies with high expectations. Maybe I'm doing it wrong.
Well, I mean, I guess I have high expectations in general, but like if they tried something and they were experimental with it, and you can see what they were trying to do, but it just didn't quite work, I tend to give more credit for that than I do with like a big budget blockbuster. Like if anything's wrong with a Star Wars movie, I'll be the first one. Like I love Star Wars, but I'll be the first one to go, yeah, that was really stupid.
Oh
Uh,
my god, you just reminded me of this back and forth I had with this guy at the convention. There was a short movie called The Stylist. It was a horror short, and they turned it into a full length film. And he was showing it. He was showing the vinyl record to somebody, and I just glanced over and I was like, terrible movie, better short. And he was like, nah, man. He was like, you sir are insane. And I was like, no, dude. I was like, the short is way better. The movie just tried too hard. It wasn't good. Like, and we just had we had a respectful back and forth about it, and then we just agreed to disagree, and then we left it at that. But there's so many movies that I respect what they're trying to do, and then at the end, you just be like, look, man, I see what you're doing, and it just didn't work for you. Like Sound of Violence. Oh my god, that movie had a cool concept, poorly executed, terrible acting too. So that didn't help it.
well, and like what you bring up, the adaptation from a short film to an indie movie, even that is sort of an interesting thing of the adaptation of the short film into an indie movie. Sometimes those don't go well. Like for example, I love, like recently, The Blackening. The Blackening short is brilliant. The Blackening feature film is okay. I think it's well done, but it loses something in translation. Short Term 12, which came out like 10, 12 years ago in 2012, is about teens with mental illness, and the short film is brilliant. The feature film, an indie film that had Captain Marvel herself, Brie Larson, as she was kind of coming up, the short film was way, way better than the indie film. So still good, but the short film, it just is so much better in those cases, in both of those cases, I think. That's a whole other interesting dilemma of the short film, the 15-minute short, the one act film story.
I like to think that they go into it with like a full idea, but they only have the budget for like 15 minutes, so they're just like, look, we're gonna have to make this work. Because I saw Piggy, they made a full length film of Piggy, and that came out pretty good. So that was an interesting film. That's a Spanish film. It's from Spain.
Okay, nice. Another one. I gotta. When I rewatch all this, I gotta have a list like a scroll kind of thing, like it just like kind of like a parchment, and it rolls off onto the floor.
Yeah, I'm always hitting people with crazy movies, like, and then people say I have really good the way that I like there's a Spanish movie called Mirage, right? It's called Mirage. It's on Netflix, and I'm like, so I always joke around. Have you seen Pineapple Express?
Yeah, it's been a while.
So I'm always like, all right. So like, I was like, the best way to describe this movie is if the Butterfly Effect and Donnie Darko came together and fucked. I was like, that's the Mirage, and they're just like, oh, that sounds epic, and I'm like, yeah, I like it. It's pretty cool. So yeah, that's a good film too.
I love the sound of it. It's sort of the old Late Night with Conan O'Brien sketch, if they made it. Yeah. And then there's some like Rorschach test of the Photoshop of the two put together. So let's jump into our lists. We're only doing a top 7 list for this month. Ironically, our lists are, except for one movie, our lists are completely different. But okay. I was very close to putting a lot of the movies on your list on my list. So all the films that we've selected for our top 7 lists for the month of August, I'm very interested in all of these. None of them for me, at least. So I am very excited because there's a ton of indie movies on both of our lists. So shall we jump in with your list?
All right, so coming in at number 7, we have Birth/Rebirth. It's basically, if you guys have seen the Reanimator, it gives you Reanimator vibes. Apparently, this is like a Shudder exclusive. It's about this lady, I guess her daughter dies or something, and the lady at the mortician place ends up reanimating the daughter, and like the mom finds out about it, and it just seems like a crazy movie. It just reminds me of just Herbert West all the way. And it's directed by a woman by the name of Laura Moss. Not really familiar with her work. I looked at some of her other films, like none of them look familiar. But this movie looks super interesting, and Shudder's hit or miss. I've had the Shudder app before. It's very hit or miss. You can have a movie that looks freaking excellent, But this film right here actually has me intrigued. Like the idea of reanimating somebody and, what can possibly go wrong, and then also you're kind of tugging at the mother's heartstrings because she just lost her daughter, and to see her daughter back alive, is she going to accept it for what it is, or is she going to be like, yo, this is a monster, like this ain't really my daughter, like my daughter died, so it's many different avenues that they can go with what they want to do with the story. And the trailer is ambiguous enough to the point where you don't feel like you've watched the whole damn movie in the trailer, which is what studios are doing now. But yeah, so Bird/Rebirth looks very interesting, and that's a Shudder exclusive. So that's going to go straight to streaming.
And this is Judy Reyes from, she was Carla in Scrubs. So for for anyone who loved the TV show Scrubs like 10, 12 years ago, she was the nurse who was dating Turk in that one. And she also was she was in Claws on TNT, the series, about nails. So that's Judy Reyes. She's playing the mother in this one, and I forget who's playing the nurse or the woman in the morgue who reanimates the dead little girl is played by Marin Ireland. I haven't seen anything else that she's done, but yeah, it looks like a really interesting combination of the two of those two reanimating this dead little girl, and yeah, the trailer looks very freaky. Like it's a little bit sci-fi, a little bit horror, a little bit moral questionable, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I this was really close to coming on my list, but this one, it looks so well done, and just the way that they film it, it looks relatively realistic. Like it looks like not so sci-fi that it's off into the future ways. Like what if your child passed and someone brought them back, and what would you do to keep that child from leaving? So yeah, so many good questions with this film that this film looks like it raises. So you're saying this one is going straight to VOD?
Yeah. I think it's going to Shudder. Shudder's an exclusive like horror movie service. So you want to watch horror movies and you just like you want to like nonstop stream some horror movies, the Shudder app is nothing but horror movies.
Sweet. And that one's coming out August 18th.
Yeah, I believe so. All these coming out in August. I didn't even look at the dates. I should have wrote the dates down.
Yeah. So if you look at my number 7, or actually my number 6, there's one that. So I'm going to do when my list crosses over with your list, I'll do that one at the same time. So my number 7 is matches up with one of yours later on the list. So we're going to start with my number 6. My number 6 movie is Aporia. This is a indie movie. This is a sci-fi what if. This is Judy Greer, most known from the Ant-Man movies, but she's also a comedic actress. She's done a ton of different stuff. She is married. She has a daughter. She loses her husband, and someone comes along and says, I have a way to bring him back. And the trailer shows that you're not sending anyone back in time, but you're taking one bullet. You're shooting one bullet through time, and the butterfly effect then, so if you can pinpoint where to shoot the bullet, who to shoot the bullet at, hopefully that stops the bad things from happening and
taking place.
Yeah, and then so I'm this is one that it's interesting, the law of unintended consequences, a little bit of a sci-fi angle, but more of the, well, what if? What if you got your wish? What if you could take out the one person that killed your loved one? What would be the butterfly effect of making it so that he never died? And all of the good, the bad, and the unexpected that comes with making it so that no one ever died, or making it so that your loved one never died. So, Aporia is that one. This is. This is one that stars Judy Greer. This is Edie Gaheji, and the little girl is played by Faith Herman. It's mostly people I've never heard of before. Rachel Paulson I've heard of, but she has a smaller role in there. But Judy Greer is the big one in this film.
Yeah, that name sounds familiar.
Yeah, she's one that she's from the Ant-Man movie. She plays Scott Lang's ex-wife, the mother to his daughter.
Got you. Okay.
So yeah, she's one of those that she shows up in indie movies. She shows up in dramas. She shows up in comedies, and in a little bit of everything she shows up into. So
wears many hats.
Yes, and she does all kinds of different styles, and she's really a versatile actress. So to see her headlining an indie movie about time travel, and well, the bullet is time traveling, not any one person. So it's interesting the whole concept of it is it's one that I think we've seen similar movies in the past before, but the concept of it looks a little bit different. So Aporia is it's not a great name, Aporia.
I was like, I don't see like the name didn't captivate me. Like as soon as you said it, I was like, yeah, that sounds like an indie film. Like just certain films just have an indie sound to it. It's just like sometimes you got to pick your name a little bit better unless it's like based off of a book. Yeah,
and it's not. I don't know if that's the name of the daughter because.
Well, that'll be a horrible name as a daughter. But
that's
a conversation for another day.
Yeah. Then that brings up the idea of bad names for movies like Zathura. Like even Jon Favreau is the first one to say that was a bad name for one of his movies, Zathura, a sci-fi children's movie. Like right before.
Sounds very sci-fi-ish.
Yeah, it came out. It came out right before Iron Man. So
I know exactly what you're talking. I remember that movie.
Yeah,
the name.
Yeah, and I never saw it. I saw the trailers. I was like,
I feel like it was around the time of like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy or whatever.
Yeah, like
around that time,
mid 2000s, before Iron Man. So it's before his biggest hits.
When one of them Spy Kids sequels was coming out. Yeah,
yeah, and it looks exactly like that. And it's weird because that's like it's near the height of Jon Favreau's directing career because it's after Elf, but before Iron Man. So, and Jon Favreau is one that does a ton of indie movies, so he can go back and forth between the big budget blockbusters and the indie movies. So, yeah, that Zathura though is one that even Jon Favreau kind of makes fun of in his looking back, going, yeah, that's changed. So. Aporia is my number 6. Did you see the trailers for Aporia at all?
Probably. Like I said, I went down a laundry list, so I might have ran across it, might not. But my number 6 is actually Medusa Deluxe, right? And it's a murder mystery apparently set in a competitive hairdressing contest, and it just seems like a fun movie. Like it seems like it's funny. It has like comedic elements to it. But then I love whodunits. Like whodunits are fun. I feel like it kind of every time I watch a whodunit, no matter whether it's like whether it's new or old, it always just brings me back to like Alfred Hitchcock. Like trying to figure out who it. I love watching those movies and looking for tips and tricks and trying to figure out who's like the culprit by the end of the movie. It's a fun experience. Like it really feels like you're a part of the film if done correctly. But this movie looks like a lot of fun. It looks kind of comedic. Like I said, it looks comedic at times. And to set it in like a hairdressing competition, I thought that was an actual really smart idea. It stars Claire Perkins, Kayla McKell, and Lilith Lesner. I'm not familiar with any of those names, but if you know any of those names, let it chime in at any time. And it's directed by Thomas Hardiman, who's I looked at her filmography or his filmography. I didn't really see much that looked familiar to me, but the movie looked fun. Like I said, just it has like comedic elements to it. I love whodunits, and it just seems like a fun watch.
Yeah, and this is one that I watched the trailer like 2 or 3 times because you can totally tell from just from watching the trailer once. It's an indie film, and I have a screen capture here of the IMDb page of the actors, and it's just the top 8 actresses, or actors and actresses, and 3 of those 8, 3 of the top 4 that are listed don't even have a profile picture on their IMDb page. So that's how much of an indie movie this is. This is a British film. Looks like a British film. A lot of cool British accents, and it's one of those that I'm not really into fashion much. Like I'm a t-shirt and shorts kind of guy, so high fashion and fashion shows are not something that I pay a ton of attention to. So anytime you can get me interested in a fashion show, or even more niche than that, is hairstyle competitions. Like I've never even heard of hairstyle competitions before. So
I have. I've heard of haircut. They do them in Atlanta a lot.
Oh, okay. Right. That makes sense. Yeah. But I love the idea though of competition movies like that. Like I couldn't think of any other films that are like that are indie films that follow competitions like that. Like does this movie, like, what does this movie remind you of? Are there any films that remind you?
Not really, because I've never seen a murder mystery twisted into a competition. Like, I mean, you might have seen it on like a TV show or something. Like that sounds like a typical storyline in a TV show, but it doesn't. I've never seen. I can't think of any full length movies that have done something similar to that. But I don't know. Like I said, it just looks like a lot of fun. Like it looks like, even though it's gonna have a seriousness to it, obviously because it's a murder mystery, but just like, I don't know, the main actress and the way that she's interacting with like the people in the contest too. Like I don't know if it's people helping her out with her hairdressing and things like that. Just the way she interacts with people is just funny. Like I don't know. It just seems like it'll be a lot of fun.
Like, is she being framed for the murder, or is she actually doing the murder herself, and she's just trying to stay ahead of the cops long enough to win the competition? Like,
maybe that's what they're doing. They're trying to throw you off the trail. Like she was the person the whole time, and it was really her the whole time. Like, those movies where it's like everybody blames the main character, but you've been following the main character the whole time, and you're like, man, they didn't do it. And then it turns out that, oh yeah, actually, yeah, in actuality, the main character did do it. They did it in between here, and here. You're just like, wow, I've been duped.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you're like, well, should I have known? And they're like, well, maybe. And then that's part of the fun of trying to guess the whodunit of the murder, the mystery part of the murder mystery. So,
but I love the main actress. She just looks like one of those aunties that just like don't give a damn. Like she just reminds me of like that funny auntie that's going to tell you what it is, even if it comes off as just rude or douchey. She's going to tell it. So
yeah, you're talking about Claire Perkins. Are you talking Claire Perkins?
I think that's her name. It might be put Claire Perkins, but she reminds me of Wanda Sykes so much.
Oh, nice. Okay.
But
yeah, I love Wanda Sykes stand up, and her is Biggie Shorty. I can't remember I remember her as like as the comic relief character. As Biggie Shorty was really good. One of I loved her in it. So as I mumble my way through the list, but yeah, so Medusa Deluxe looks really good as well. My number 5 film is an indie film, but it looks like it's got a decent budget to it. This is Casey Affleck. This is Walton Goggins, and this is also several other people. Zoe Deschanel's in this one. This is a film. This is based off of a real family, a real set of brothers from Eastern Washington. I'm originally from Seattle, so when people from the East Coast say Washington State, they're from the East Coast, because no one on the West Coast says Washington State. You say Seattle, Washington, whatever. But this is about a set of brothers from Eastern Washington, from a small community small farming community in Eastern Washington, and it's based off a real life story about these brothers who put out an album in the late 70s, a self-published album, and nothing quite happened with it. It came and went, and they moved on with their lives. And then 20 years later, 30 years later, they're middle-aged men, and some record executive discovers their album, and they go back and promote the album. They re-release the album. They go back and release actual new music and re-record new music. The genius behind it is Casey Affleck. He's the main character. Walton Goggins is the other brother, and it looks like a ton of fun. It is.
That reminds me of that band Death. That's what happened with them.
Yeah. And this is one where it's Noah Jupe plays the younger version of Casey Affleck's character. Jack Dylan Grazer, who was in, he was the guy with the crutch in Shazam 2. He was Freddy. He was Freddy, Captain Everypower. He plays the younger version of Walton Goggins. So it's Beau Bridges. It's Chris Messina as the record executive. It's Zooey Deschanel as the wife of one of them. So yeah, the cinematography looks great. The music is kind of fun, late 70s, and it's very Seattle.
What kind of music are they playing?
That's just it. They're playing. Their song is called "Dreamin' Wild," and they play a little bit during the trailer, and it's kind of disco-ish. Like I love music, but my vocabulary for describing music is not the same as my ability is to describe film. So, but yeah, it's a fun. Like the cinematography looks great. You can totally tell they shot on location in the mountains and kind of that rural environment, and the Seattle setting for me also kind of hits home a little bit. So that's why Dreamin' Wild comes in at number 5 on my list, and it comes out on October 4th.
Yeah, that definitely reminds me of that band. There's this band of these black musicians, and they were called Death. And I guess the son of the band members found the album and played it at a party, and people was like, "Yo, this is cool! Like, what is this?" He's like, "I don't know." And then it turns out that it was his dad's music, and somebody recorded it like on social media or something like that. And then it blew up, and then people were looking into the backstory of the band. And the biggest reason why people were looking into the backstory of the band is because it had that punk rock sound, but the band predates the punk rock era. So yeah, so it was a really interesting. They did a documentary about it. It was really interesting. I watched it years ago, but that kind of reminds me of that. How that band found that fame way later, you know.
And what was the name of that band?
The band is called Death.
Death. Okay, nice.
Yeah.
And this one I looked it up. The real life brothers that Casey Affleck and Walton Goggins are playing in this one. Their album came out in 2020, and the recording sessions were for a year and a half in 2018, 2019. So the actual real life brothers that inspired this film are out there still. So
okay.
Yeah, so that's my number 5 flick. Your number 5 film. This is an interesting one.
Till Death Do Us Part.
Yeah, so it's horror. It's a little bit of everything, but by the time you get halfway through the trailer, it looks really fascinating. What happens if a runaway bride isn't allowed to be a runaway bride? How else would you describe Till Death Do Us Part?
It reminds me of Mr. and Mrs. Smith meets what's that movie? The one where the bride is getting sacrificed by that family?
Oh, the one that came out
Ready or Not
last year.
Ready or Not, right?
Yeah, there's one that came out with Natalie Emanuel where she was being sacrificed by this British aristocracy.
Yeah, it's called Ready or Not.
Yeah,
right?
I think so. Or it might have been, I can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, so yeah.
But I'm pretty sure it's Ready or Not, but it kind of reminds me of Mr. and Mrs. Smith meets that. Is that it? Yeah. She's right here with the wedding dress. Yeah, because I used to get that movie and the movie about that political movie that came out that pissed everybody off.
The Hunt.
The lady. Yeah, The Hunt. I get those two movies mixed up. I don't know why, but yeah, Ready or Not. It reminds me of Ready or Not meets Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I'm not gonna lie to you. When I first saw it, I was like, cliche, and I kind of watched the trailer, And then I went through all the other trailers, and then something told me, hey man, go back to the trailer and watch it. And I went back and watched it, and I was like, you know what? This actually probably could be a fun little, this could be fun. This could be interesting, right? And I think it's by the creators of Final Destination, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So it's by the people that created Final Destination. So I'm like, all right, I like Final Destination. It's cool to see that they branched out and stopped making, well, even though they're making another damn Final Destination, it's good to see them do something different, try to get their name in other places. And I mean, this movie's obviously going to have comedic elements because you have the little man in the movie, and to see like how he's going to try to take down the bride, because it's the husband and the 7 groomsmen are hunting this bride, and I'm assuming that she's going to pick all of them off one by one. So it also kind of reminds me of what's that damn movie?
And this is Natalie Byrne playing the bride, and Jason Patric from Speed 2 is the husband. He's not really in the trailer much. The best man is
wow.
Yeah, that's
Speed 2.
It's going back a ways. Cam Gidget. I'm probably mispronouncing his last name. Cam Gidget is the sort of the smarmy looking best man leading the best men crew that are chasing down the bride. and Orlando Bloom's in there too. So the sprite guy, Orlando Bloom was also in Mad TV.
Isn't Orlando Bloom also going to be in Gran Turismo? Oh,
I believe so. I think.
Yeah, he's in it.
Yeah,
real quick. Yeah, he's in it. Yeah, but this movie also, like the main actress, like the idea behind the main actress, it kind of reminds me of that movie You're Next, where like the girl's like with the family at the dinner or whatever, then something happens, and then all of a sudden it turns out that I don't know if this is the case for this movie, but it turns out that she kind of grew up and like her dad thought the end of the world was coming, so he like trained her up to like be able to kind of like take care of herself and handle anything that comes her way. So she's like militant minded, and she's over here helping everybody else. She's wrapping her arms, bandaging them up, telling them put pressure, and she has all this military tactics, and she's making traps. So it kind of reminds me of that, and I really enjoyed Your Next. Like that was a fun damn movie. So I don't know. Like I said, I watched the trailer. I kind of was like, and I came back and watched it again. I was like, you know what, this could be actually kind of fun. So till Death Do Us Part, you know what? You got my vote. I'm interested. You have my interest.
and I can't say that it looks very realistic because I can't imagine that a bride on the run would stay in her wedding gown as she's killing people.
She's on a trip.
Yeah,
I'm watching. I watched her in the trailer run around with that long ass wedding dress up, like you running, holding up your dress like this, and I'm like, dude, like you would have fell. You would have fell. It would have got caught on something. Like, there's no way that like that dress is handicapping you, like definitely. So you might want to go find some shorts or something, or go put some pants on her.
Well, and if she really is like trained in combat or personal fighting well enough to be able to take out men that are, to kill men that are 50 pounds heavier than her, I can't imagine that someone with that kind of training wouldn't take off the dress,
right,
and like, put on something, or even just run around in her whatever. So,
yeah, because I mean, I'm watching her roundhouse kick people in the trailer, so I'm assuming that she has some sort of fighting skills. And like, this is what I hope. I just hope that it's realistic. What the hell was the name of that movie? I want to say it's Atomic Blonde. Atomic Blonde had some of the most realistic man versus woman fighting, because she was getting her ass whooped, if I'm not mistaken. Like, she was getting beat up in that movie, because that's when she had to take the little ice bath. She was getting beat up in that movie, and then all of us, but the way that she beat the guy was she used the momentum against him, and she used a lot of like tactics in order to try to get him down to the ground and try to like neutralize certain points on his body. I just hope it ain't like she just one hitter quitter, just hitting people and just knocking them out. Roundhouse kick, boom, sweet chin music, big Randy Savage elbow drop. Like, that's what I don't want. I want it to be realistic as possible. I don't want her to turn into the Ultimate Warrior and start shaking ropes and then clotheslining people. I don't want that. I want this to be realistic. I want her to be very tactical in the way that she approaches these fights and takes these people down. I need it to be realistic.
Well, and Charlize Theron in Atomic Blonde she's 5'10" in real life, so she's a tall woman,
tiny,
and she's also playing a secret agent. She's playing like CIA or FBI or whatever it is. So the idea of her having a lot of close combat, personal fighting experience, it makes a lot of sense. This appears to be just a random woman in a wedding dress running away.
We assume she's a random woman.
Yeah,
she might have got trained
true.
up. Like she might have been in a Mission Impossible mission. I don't know. Like Ethan Hunt probably trained her up. Like I don't know. Yeah. We don't know her backstory yet, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be a bad one.
Yeah, and to be fair, we haven't seen her doing the Tom Cruise arm pump run.
Oh,
in the trailers. So. You're right. Her character really could have been trained as a secret agent and killing all the.
When they're doing this, when they're trying to figure out what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I don't know, but like I just hope the fights are realistic. But I mean, cool. Like it seems like a fun movie. It took me two views to actually put on my list because I'm like, I am not going to have a number 7 at this stake.
Yeah. Well, it looks fun too. It looks fun. Like it just the concept of what if a runaway bride was the center of a horror film? What would that entail? This looks like a very interesting thought experiment at the very least. So, yeah. So that's your number 5 flick.
Yeah.
My number 4 flick is it's a weird one. This is a film called Landscape with Invisible Hand.
That is a long title.
Yeah, and it is an indie movie. It is technically it's sci-fi because there's aliens, but the screen capture that I have of the poster, the aliens are, I don't know, stop motion, claymation, low budget CGI, but they're not really fully realized on set, like kind of thing. The idea is it's sort of our world in the future, and what would happen if aliens came down and started paying us money to be live streamers? So, and the idea is that these aliens don't know about the concept of love and courtship. So the idea of humans falling in love interests them. So this film follows a couple of teenagers as they court, as they date, as they fall in love, as they become a couple, and they wear streaming devices. They wear basically a futuristic GoPro attached to their foreheads, so aliens can watch their viewers, their alien viewers can watch their point of view as this young couple live streams their romance, their dating, their everything. So this is a film that stars Asante Black. He's the main guy. Kylie Rogers plays Chloe Marsh. She is the main girl. Not a ton of big stars in this, but Tiffany Haddish plays Asante Black's mom. And so he brings Kylie Rogers' character home for dinner, and she's got her GoPro streaming camera on her head as she's at Tiffany Haddish's dinner table. She's like, "Can you take that off, please?"
I don't know how I feel about Tiffany Haddish anymore. I don't know.
No?
She kind of bothers me now. I don't know why.
Huh.
Lately, I've just been like, I don't know. It's like,
is she overexposed?
She's now become my Kevin Hart. Like, I don't know. I see her and I'm just like, do I really want to watch a movie? I don't know. I don't know how I'm feeling about this.
Is she saying yes to too many projects, or?
I don't know. At one point, I felt like I was seeing her too much, but then it's like, I think it's because of most of the time I see her, she's the same character over and over again, especially at the beginning. She's like that loud, ghetto, obnoxious, like, I'm a fuck y'all, she's that. And like, and then her trying to deviate away from it, I think the damage is already done, and it's going to be hard for me to take her serious in anything else.
I don't think that she's playing that type of character in this film. It looks like it's just like her as a suburban mom kind of character. But I totally felt that way about Robert De Niro for the last 10 years or so, because I love Robert De Niro, but once you see Dirty Grandpa with Robert De Niro and Zac Efron, it's like, what happened to Robert De Niro? And then you find out, oh, well, he has an ex-wife that he has to support, and he has to accept every film pretty much that comes his way. So I don't know if Tiffany Haddish is at that point in her
Doesn't he have
career.
a brand new kid too? He got a baby, huh? They just announced he had a baby.
I don't know about Robert De Niro, but
Al Pacino,
Al Pacino
and Robert De Niro.
Al
I think both of
Pacino
them said they got
has
kids.
Yeah, Al Pacino is 83 now, and he just either his just had the kid or his she's pregnant. So yeah, 83-year-old Al Pacino about to be a new father again. But yeah, I don't know if Tiffany Haddish is at that point where she's trying to support people, or she's just trying to make hay while her career is at the peak. But yeah, she plays the mom in this one, and I don't really recognize anyone else. I know Kylie Rogers has been in a few things, but yes, Asante Black and Kylie Rogers are the couple in this one. Yeah, Landscape with Invisible Hand is a really stupid title. I have no idea what it refers to, but that's the film that comes out August 18th.
It's funny. Sometimes I think studios will like for you to be like, oh, that title sounds interesting. Like it sounds like it's going to be about something amazing. Like let me go see this movie just because it's weird. I'm not going to lie. There's been times I've clicked trailers. Just because the title sounds weird, and I'm like, let me see what this is about. But then most of the time it doesn't pan out. So that is definitely a weird title,
and it's
that I'm not digging.
Yeah, and it's one too that it's vague, and it's like it's not even really like grammatically correct. I mean, I guess theoretically, I don't know, but it's the title of a film, if it's too vague or too on the nose, can be kind of boring too. But then if you go like with a really, 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 really long title, like To Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar.
Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Such a long title, they had to shorten it to a damn acronym just so you could be like, hey, because it took me a while when people would be like, hey, have you ever seen, I can't even do the acronym. They'd be like, EO, 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 or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just like, what the hell is that? And they're like, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Like, oh, you don't want to type all that out. Got you.
Or Birds of Prey, The Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn.
I didn't even watch that movie. I heard it was terrible.
It's awful, and it doesn't even live up to the long ass title that doesn't even fit on the marquee. So yeah, I would say skip Birds of Prey. Definitely the worst DCEU film by far. Let's move to your number 4, and this is one that this is one that I was so close to putting it on my list, and it was one of the ones that I was most excited to see early in the year because I love Will Ferrell, I love Jamie Foxx, and
he has a hell of a voice acting cast. That cast is crazy.
So tell me about Strays.
It's a movie about some damn dogs it's about this dog that has an owner that's a douchebag, and he keeps trying to get rid of him, and the dog thinks it's a damn game. At least this is what I get from the trailer. And then eventually he runs into a band of misfits, and they're just like, hey man, like, he don't like you. And he's like, oh, for real? I'm gonna go bite his dick off. That's literally what the dog says in the trailer. I'm gonna go bite his dick off. So this whole movie is about this little dog going to try to go ahead and go bite his owner's dick off. To me, it's like what would happen if Homeward Bound were rated R? That's where I get from this. That is my perfect example for this. That's the only example I could give, like a Homeward Bound rated R. But to me, it seems funny. I'm praying that it's not like Sausage Fest, because Sausage Fest was a terrible damn movie. What was it called? Wait, Sausage? Was it called Sausage or Sausage Party? What was it called?
Well, Sausage Party was the CGI animation.
That one. That shit was horrible.
I really liked that one, actually.
Really? I thought it was terrible. Like, after a while, I was just like, yo, like, I can't take this shit seriously.
The one that I hated was the Muppets. It wasn't Muppet brand, but it was puppets that looked like Muppets. That had Melissa McCarthy. That was like the rated R version. That film was just awful. It came out like 2 or 3 years ago.
What was that called? I went to the theater to watch that.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was called, but it was one of those that the trailer was like, what if the Muppets were rated R and like really, really raunchy? And it's sort of like a film noir detective with like the the femme fatale kind of thing. That's sort of the setup.
What was the name of that? See, now it's gonna bug me. I remember that movie.
Yeah, but it's one that it's a good thing that I can't remember the title because it's not worth watching. It was just one of the worst produced with a great trailer. One of the worst films, but a great trailer and a great cast. But yeah, it's just one of those like, how is this movie this bad when everything in the film was in the trailers? And yeah, so that's. But this one though, Strays, live action dogs with the mouth moving, it kind of feels. That's the only
thing that kind of throws me off. Like I was like, damn, dude, like the mouth movement looks a little. I felt like they could have like, if the only thing that you're gonna do in this movie is like the CGI that's going into it is like at least make sure that the mouth movement looks good. I was like, that's the least you can do.
Yeah,
at least make sure the CGI mouth movement looks good.
And the mouth movement looks fine. Like it doesn't. It's not perfect, but it looks fine. It blends in nicely. I do love, by the way, I love Will Forte as Doug, the piece of crap dog owner.
Yeah. He looks like a crappy dog owner. That's the funny part. He plays the shit perfectly. Like he looks like he'll be a shitty dog owner.
Well, and he was on SNL for a lot of years. He's done so many great characters on SNL. Him playing a douchebag owner, and Will Ferrell being the loyal dog. Like, oh yeah, I love you too. I just that concept it sounds great to me. And and then Jamie Foxx, of course. Jamie Foxx is great with his vocal talent as well. So. It looks like a ton of fun. And Randall Park also, I don't know, he doesn't look like he's in the trailer, but he does the voice work of Hunter. So if I'm reading that right. But yeah, this film it didn't make it onto my list, and I'm really kind of surprised because the first time I saw the trailer, I loved it. But it's a great looking flick. Looks like a lot of fun.
It does. I'm hoping Hangover and not Sausage Party.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. It's actually good. My number 4 film.
4, 3. Okay, 4.
Yeah. We're gonna catch up here in a second. My number. It's number 3 film. My number 3 film is Bottoms. It's basically a high school girl's version of Fight Club as a club sport. And Marshawn Lynch, I'm a huge Seahawks fan. Marshawn Lynch, future NFL Hall of Famer, Oakland Raider, LA Raider, Vegas Raider. Marshawn Lynch is the teacher who is their advisor for their high school fight club. And this is Rachel Sennett and Ayo Edebiri. I'm mispronouncing her name, but that's the 2 main characters. They're single, and for some reason they want to start a fight club to get close to the women that they're interested in. And somehow Marshawn Lynch is a teacher who's encouraging them to start this fight club. So it's bizarre, it's violent, but it's freaking. The trailer looks hilarious, and I don't know how else to describe that, but yeah, Bottoms.
Wasn't there like a movie that just came out with the same title, or am I tripping?
I don't know if there's any other films. I thought it was like a movie that
came out similar to that about like a gay couple.
Might be, but this one is set in high school, so the idea of a high school fight club is sort of funny in and of itself. And then you throw in Marshawn Lynch as the advisor, as the teacher advisor.
Dude, Marshawn Lynch has so much personality; it's crazy. He's funny, like unintentionally. Like he's just funny unintentionally.
Well, and he's showing up in a lot of different things. Like a little bit surprisingly, I don't think he's trying to become an actor. Like Nnamdi Asomugha, the former Raiders cornerback, all-pro cornerback, is an actor now. Like he's a full-on actor, and he's got tons of credits to his name. But Marshawn Lynch is doing a ton of these cameos, and he's been doing even like random things. Like he did season 3 or 4 of that HBO Westworld. He was in when they were shooting over in Asia somewhere, in this like futuristic world. Marshawn Lynch just randomly shows up for a 3-episode arc as one of the supporting characters. So Marshawn Lynch has actually been showing up in different things here and there, and not just playing himself or a football player. He's actually acting a little bit, and I don't know if this is what he wants to do with his life or with his career going forward. But he's not just playing football player guy. So, as a huge fan of Marshawn Lynch, I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Because he will track you down and whoop you. Nah, Marshawn is hilarious, dude. Like I used to hear all these crazy stories about him just getting on a train and riding the train, and he'd be like drink with people and shit. Like I heard he's like a real down to earth person. Like I heard he's funny.
Yeah, and even like he got busted for a DUI when he wasn't even driving here in Vegas like a year or two ago. Like his car was off to the side of the road, and it was daytime, and the cops found him in the car. And anyway, not that obviously that's DUI is not funny, but he's a weird guy, ton of fun, and it's fun to see him in the acting world. So Bottoms, weird title, but yeah,
Bottoms. That's such a weird. Yeah, that's weird. Yeah,
yeah, and
that's
it's
a strange title.
Like, do you like Fight Club style movies?
Fight Club is hilarious. What was that movie with Ice Cube and what's his name? And they were supposed to fight after school.
Oh,
that was all right.
Like back in the 90s?
Nah, it came out in the 2000s. It was that dude with the squeaky voice from Horrible Bosses, I think. Him and Ice Cube, like they were teachers at a school, and then like something happened, and then they ended up like Ice Cube was like me, you, parking lot after school, and the whole movie is him trying to avoid fighting him in the parking lot after school. I forgot what it's called, but it's some movie. I forgot what it's called.
Oh, okay. I think I've seen the trailer for that. Yeah, it's been a while.
It's an older movie. It's an older movie.
Yeah, where Ice Cube is like the guy. He's pissed and he's gonna try and catch up with him and beat him up. And you're at the. It wasn't like Chris Tucker, but it was I don't know. Someone was trying to avoid getting beaten up. So, but yeah. So, Bottoms is my number 3 flick. Let's move on to your number
3.
Your number 3 film.
Blue Beetle. I got some superhero action. Now, look, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm the first person to come out and tell you I am a diehard believer in superhero fatigue, but this movie looks like a whole lot of fun. Like it has what's his name? I can't even pronounce his name. I just know him as old boy from Cobra Kai, Miguel from Cobra Kai. That's how I call him.
Yeah, it's XOLO, which I don't know the correct pronunciation of that. Is it Polo? Is it XOLO? Is his first name? I don't know the correct pronunciation of that, but
yeah, I don't either. I'm gonna just call him Miguel.
yeah.
So
well, because he's great in Cobra Kai. Yeah,
he's great. Like, and it's crazy because I have a friend out here that his wife runs the I think it's the Latin American Film Festival or something in LA, and he was the one. He met Miguel way back when like he wasn't even like big yet. He wasn't even on Cobra Kai yet, and he was telling him like, "Hey man, you need to push. Like you're a really good actor. Like you got this. You could do it." Da 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 da. And then look at him now. The man's basically running a whole DC movie based off a very I don't want to say he's a lower ranking character, but he's definitely a B character. But he's he's liked in the community though. He's definitely liked in the community.
Well, and it's a weird character. So yeah, because Blue Beetle, I believe, was originally not a DC character, and then the company that owned Blue Beetle got bought by DC. I think that's how it went. But even that, like, if you watch the Arrowverse at all, like the Green Arrow, Flash, Supergirl, Ted Kord and Kord Industries, as like a industrial weapons maker, kind of like Tony Stark, shows up, and Susan Sarandon is on the credits list as playing Victoria Kord. I don't know whether that's supposed to be Ted Kord, like her version of Ted Kord, who is originally the Blue Beetle. if that's the connection or not, but
Probably because at first Blue Beetle didn't have like he wasn't like he had like a gun or something, like didn't he? He was like a regular like street level superhero, right?
well, I don't read a lot of comics, but my understanding is that there's a suit sort of like Iron Man, and I don't know though if it is like we see in the trailer where it's a scarab from outer space. I don't know if it's that, because the idea of Ted Cord, like military technologist, weapons broker dealer kind of thing.
Because I think the old Blue Beetle was like some he was I mean, look, I don't want to call him a street level character, but I'm pretty sure dude wasn't like, he didn't have like a world a weapon, because it's the terror, the scarab or whatever. When it attaches you and you're able to generate any weapon that you want. I mean, that's a whole lot better than a ray gun that you built in like your little, because even the little Blue Beetle spaceship looking thing, that thing is the old Blue Beetle used to drive around in that. And even in the one scene with George Lopez, like, Batman's a fascist, that scene you can see the old Blue Beetle costumes in the background. So it's like, I mean, I don't know if they're trying to say that like they live within the same universe or something, but they might. I think they might be able to coexist. But
yeah, and to be honest too, like I honestly don't know whether or not they're going to survive this movie is going to survive the transition to James Gunn in the future DC universe, from the DCEU to the DCU. I guess probably it depends on how well the film does at the box office, if it survives or not.
I think James Gunn did say that Blue Beetle was going to like jump over.
Yeah.
But I mean, it just, because honestly, it fits James Gunn's style. Like, it's that James Gunn has that campy, funny, dorky superhero movies. Like, that's his bread and butter. Like, he likes to make those kind of films, and Blue Beetle seems like a campy, dorky superhero movie with a really good lead. So let's see if they can execute. Because I mean, as the movie, all it has to do is be entertaining, have good CGI, and have a good third act. These DC movies struggle with third acts. I don't know what it is. Even their best movies struggle with third acts, So let's see if they can get out of this slump, because the last DC movie that had a good third act, Joker, and that's not even in the DCU.
Yeah,
that's exactly that has absolutely nothing to do with any of that. But that's the last DC movie that I felt like had a decent ending. I didn't like Batman's ending. I also didn't like how they used that damn score every chance they got. The man took a piss at a urinal, zips up his zipper, dun 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 dun, for everything. Goes into the fridge, takes out some mustard, dun 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 dun. I swear.
And the fun, you're right though. The whole third act of flooding Gotham City, it goes from great detective procedural to huge set pieces and flooding of Gotham City for absolutely no reason, when it should have probably ended before the third act.
Because it's a long say it. I think Pattinson should have been Nightwing and not Batman, but that's just my opinion.
Well, and I think they could have shot the entire movie and then replaced Robert Pattinson with some random other actor, and the film would have been just as good. Like,
he definitely look, or they could have just painted his hair black and he could have been Terry McGinnis. Like, I mean, at this point, like, we kind of give and take at this moment. But yeah, I just really hope that Blue Beetle has a good ending. But I feel like the villain is gonna suck, because based off of that trailer, I already feel like the villain's gonna suck. Like, I don't really feel like there's a real threat. Like, come on, dude, you're freaking alien, like, with like all the powers that you need, like, like, you can be as strong as you want to be, and you're going up against, like, I guess I'm assuming like a human made Red Beetle type deal. I don't know, like, I don't know what's going on. Like, it seems like it reminds me of which is going to come back into the conversation later, but it reminds me of Chappie, like how Hugh Jackman's character like ends up like getting the little suit so that he can compete with the other people, when he can compete with the robots. It kind of reminds me of that, but that's gonna be a funny conversation about two more picks.
Yeah, and I hope it's not like Chappie's book. Like, yeah, I love
Hey, I
Neil.
love Chappie. I love Chappie because it's like the rated R short circuit, but I hate the African rappers, the South African rappers that are in that movie. I can't stand these two motherfuckers. Sitting in this movie, like watching them during that movie ruined my whole experience. I thought Chappie was a dope movie. I love Chappie's character. Chappie's, like I said, it reminds me of Johnny Five. Like the whole movie, I'm like, yo, this is Johnny Five. If like he just took that shit to another level, like So it's like, did you see you? Are you a fan of Short Circuit? Have you seen?
Yeah, I love the Short Circuit movie. I love Short Circuit 1 better than Short Circuit 2.
In a weird
yeah.
way, that's one of the ones where I like the sequel more than the first one. It's a rare
Really?
occurrence. Yeah, I don't know why I like the second one. I don't know. It might be something as a kid. Maybe it was punk rock Johnny Five. I don't know.
Well,
But
I love Fisher Stevens' character, but that's a character that could not be done nowadays.
they were supposed to remake Short Circuit, right? I don't know if it's still going to happen.
Well,
It's supposed to be made by a Mexican director, and it's supposed to be centered around. It's supposed to be a Hispanic themed spin of Short Circuit. So instead of having the Indian guy, it's going to be a Hispanic guy, and I don't know. The company's going to be like based in Mexico or something. I don't know. That was what I read years ago, but like that movie disappeared. I don't know what the hell happened to it, but they were going to remake it. It just never happened.
Huh. That would explain why Short Circuit was re-released on Blu-ray a couple years ago when I picked up my copy of it. This is actually the one crossover movie on both of our lists. I have Blue Beetle at my number 7, and yeah, same thing. The CGI to me does not look very good. Like this sort of looks like a film that was meant for HBO Max. So when we see that Batgirl was supposed to be straight to HBO Max, and we see the few clips that they released of that film, you could kind of tell that it has a lower budget. This to me looks like that. It looks like the CGI does not look feature film quality. It's a lower tier character with not an unknown actor, but not really like we don't even know how to pronounce. You and I, as huge movie fans, don't know how to pronounce his first name correctly.
Yeah, exactly.
So the fact that it's not a huge name star, I love George Lopez. He's in the cast. But Susan Sarandon is the top billed actress on IMDb, and she doesn't even show up in the trailer. So, or at least the trailer that I saw. So,
yeah,
you're right. It looks fun, which is the biggest thing that I can hope for a superhero film that comes out in August. This is not it's not Batman, it's not Superman, it's Blue Beetle. But yeah, it looks fun, and it comes out August 18th, which is right in the middle of vacation season and or first day of school, depending on where you're at. And because here in Vegas, the first day of school is like in the next week or two, for whatever reason.
Yeah,
so,
same here.
Same here. Yeah, so it's kind of that weird time of year where it's vacations, but it's also school starting up. So Blue Beetle, it looks fun, which is probably the best thing I can say about it before actually seeing the film. So hopefully Blue Beetle turns out to be good enough that it survives the transition into James Gunn's DC verse.
All right.
Any other thoughts on Blue Beetle?
No, not really. I mean, as long as the CGI looks better than the Flash, I think it'll be all right.
True. No babies in microwaves, hopefully, in this one.
Oh my
god. Your number 2.
Passenger.
Yeah, I was really intrigued by this one. I was really surprised that it didn't make it onto my list. This is so weird.
It's going to streaming, I believe.
I
forgot what streaming service is going to.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure this was in some sort of film festival circuit because the cinematography looks too good to be straight to Blu-ray or straight to streaming. In this film, the actors, Kyle Gallner, is the lead character in this one. He plays the older of the two male characters. So this is Johnny Breckold playing the younger of the two characters. This is a couple of disenfranchised youths going on a shooting spree. So tell me about The Passenger.
So the director is Carter Smith, who did The Ruins. It's pretty decent horror movie. But basically, it seems that the movie is the man's riding with his homeboy. His homeboy kind of loses it, goes postal, does some crazy stuff, and he's kind of just like having to be the passenger while this is transpiring. Now, here's what I'm hoping and praying to God that they're not going to do. I hope that his friend is not a figment of his imagination and that he's been the killer the whole time. Please don't do that, because I'm getting that vibe from this trailer, and I'm just fingers crossed that I'm wrong. I hope that it isn't doing another, like we've seen that already with fuck, it was just in our greatest horror endings ever. High Tension, right? Where the main character turned out to be the killer the whole damn time, right? And it just ends up being like some dual personality thing. I just hope that it's not like that. We've seen this plenty of time. What's that movie, Mr. Brooks? Similar ideas, like
Oh, well,
So
Tyler Durden from Fight Club
Fight
was like
Club,
the
exactly. Like it's an idea that when it was done the first time, it was amazing, but it's been if it's done the 10th, 12th, 20th time, it becomes a little dried out. So I'm hoping that this really is just like a movie about a man uh interacting with his friend and trying to talk him off this cliff or trying to talk him down, or maybe his friend is trying to talk him into joining him and coming being a part of these sprees. But I just have this weird hinkling. There's something that my spider sense is tingling that that man is a figment of his imagination. I really don't. I really hope it's not the case though. But it looks like a fun movie. I mean, I think it's going. I want to say it's going to Hulu. I thought I saw that it was going to Hulu, but
Oh,
we
yeah, it might be. I honestly I can't remember off the top of my head. Um, but it looks so well done though, and the whole thing
it's going to
of
Amazon. Sorry, because it's by MGM. So yeah,
oh, okay,
and Amazon bought the MGM catalog. So yeah, this is going to Amazon.
or maybe MGM Plus. It's hard to tell where it's
It
going to
might
go
go to
nowadays.
MGM Plus, but like I said, and Amazon owns their whole catalog. They own RoboCop, everything that MGM own, Amazon owns it now. So
Yeah, absolutely, and yeah, it's always funny too. These angry shooting spree movies, like it's one of those where like I loved Michael Douglas in Falling Down, sort of like the ultimate angry guy movie going on a shooting spree. Or if you're feeling like I'm angry and I need to watch a movie that's going to make me more angry, that's for me. That's Falling Down. That's my go-to.
I
Like
haven't
I
even
need to
seen that
feel
movie.
angry.
I got now you got me with a movie. I haven't seen that.
Yeah. Well, as far as like angry guy just going around shooting people and losing it. And that's a movie that came out in 1992. Now that one is not so much mass shooter. Like this one looks more like Columbine Part 2. But Falling Down was just a guy getting stuck in rush hour traffic. His car's it's like 100 degrees. His AC's not working, and he's just the guy who just got fired, and he goes on a shooting spree. Like it's you know how like McDonald's stops serving breakfast at 10:30, and he walks in at
Yeah.
like 10:29 and wants to order breakfast.
And they're just
And that's
like, nah, we stopped serving breakfast already.
yeah.
Man. That
So
kind of reminds me of that movie that wasn't
yeah.
Russell Crowe just in that movie Unhinged? Was that Russell Crowe?
Oh
Or was
yeah.
or was that Gerard Butler?
There,
I was getting
there's
too mixed
there's
up.
some angry white guy movie that comes out every couple years where they just go on a shooting spree, and it's some of them are good, some of them are bad. Falling Down, as far as that genre goes, is really well done, and it's not too heavy handed, but it's not like you're not siding with them. But you see the frustrations of Michael Douglas' character, so that kind of. When I saw the trailer for this one, that kind of reminds me a little bit. But obviously, when it's high school and or post high school, and you get a little bit of the Columbine type vibes too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, they do look really young, so yeah.
well, and then the fact that it's one kind of kidnapping the other, and the fact that it's called The Passenger, so it looks like it's being told from.
The perspective of the guy that's riding with the other guy.
Yeah, so like the guy who's going along for the ride, but
But
a
not
little bit of
partaking.
a little bit of Patty Hearst Stockholm syndrome looks like going on there too. So it kind of looks like a menagerie or a whole mix up of all of those, put in a bowl and kind of hit a blender and see what comes out. So yeah, I think it looks like a lot of, I don't want to say fun, but it looks interesting at least, and the cinematography and the camera angles look phenomenal. So yeah, that one looks great to me. My number, as we catch up with the equal numbering now, my number 2 is, it's an indie movie. It's one that doesn't even look low budget. Like, it's probably straight to streaming. I didn't check to see, but this is Match Me If You Can. This is all about internet dating. This is about the culture of going on an app and trying to meet your match. And this lady looks like she's in her 30s. She goes online when she's drunk. She's drinking a glass of wine, and the matchmaking service rejects her. So she goes and she writes a blog about how she's unlucky in love, and she's even been rejected by the online dating service, and she goes viral. So it's a little bit Hot Topic-ish, but it still looks like a ton of fun. This is
so does it look like it's going to be like a rom-com?
Yeah, a little bit of a rom-com, mostly more of like a single person kind of type comedy. This is not anybody I've heard of before. This is Georgina Riley as Kip Parsons, the main character, as the single woman in her 30s trying to date and find a guy. The only real name that I recognize on this list is Brian George, who was Raj's dad on Big Bang Theory in a guest starring role. And he's probably best known, though, as the guy from Seinfeld who goes like this. He's the guy, when Seinfeld and the others go on trial, he was the guy that was kicked out of the country because Seinfeld convinced him to start a Pakistani restaurant, and it fails. And so it's like he's the no, Jerry. So anyway, that's Brian George. But I don't recognize any of these other actors, including Regina Riley. And honestly, too, the cinematography doesn't look all that great. It just looks like a low budget, straight to DVD, straight to comedy, or straight to cable, straight to streaming type film. But I love the idea of internet dating and all that kind of stuff. Like for anyone who's forever perpetually single, it kind of looks like a lot of fun. So Match Me If You Can is my number 2.
That's a great title.
Yeah.
That's a great title. But coming in at my number 1.
Oh yeah, let me switch over real quick. You're jumping up to your number 1, and this is probably one of the few high budget films on either of our lists. This is it's a car racing movie. It's a video game movie, and this is Orlando Bloom and a couple other guys that everyone recognizes in Grand.
Directed by the man that did Chappie.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
That's why I said Chappie's gonna come back and haunt us. But
Neil Blomkamp, yeah, this is.
I was actually surprised. Like when I saw Gran Turismo, I'm like, I'm not gonna watch no. I was like, a car movie. It kind of it reminded me of Need for Speed, and I'm just like, do I really want to watch another car movie that based off of a video game? Like I don't know how they're gonna pull it off. I'm not really interested. And then I was at the movie theater and the trailer came on, and I'm like, oh, so this is Gran Turismo, okay. And I'm just like, oh, so this is based off a real story. And then like as the trailer's going on, I'm just getting more immersed into the film, and I'm like, this shit actually looks like a good movie. So like I'm honestly blown away by the fact that this movie looks like it's going to be really like really good, but it looks so good enough to the point where I might end up might put it in my favorite movies, top 5 movies of the year, if it turns out as good as I think it's going to be.
Oh wow,
somewhere in the top 5. But the acting looks good. The story, it's hard to go wrong with a based on a true event story. Like it's really hard for these movies to mess up, in my opinion. If you mess this up, you suck as a writer. I'm sorry. Like you have everything at your disposal in order to make a good movie. You just have to pick and choose what it is and format it correctly. if you do this badly, then I mean, I don't know, then you shouldn't be writing. But no, but this movie looks like a fantastic movie. It's well shot. It's gonna be really fun to watch the racing elements of it because I remember the last good racing movie I saw was Ford versus Ferrari, I think.
Mm.
And that movie was a fun movie. Like I really enjoyed that movie, and I'm getting Ford versus Ferrari vibes with this movie. So I'm actually hyped about it. I'm really hyped about this movie. So that's my numero uno.
Yeah, I love the it's kind of weird because there's so many different elements to this film. There's the real life biopic thing, which has kind of been overdone, but it's still a format that I like. It's the video game product placement thing, which is not overdone, but it's getting close to being overdone. It's David Harbour, which is great. It's Jaimin Hansu, which is great. And it's and you're right. It's that the whole thing of esports now being a thing where playing video games isn't just Fred Savage in The Wizard. Like esports is an actual thing in real life that is like here in Las Vegas, esports, like competitive video game playing, is an actual thing where people fill arenas and stadiums to watch people play video games. So the fact that we're now getting this in a film, kind of mixing all of that up into a biopic story, and it looks like it's fun, probably a little bit changing things from reality, but the fact that it's based off an actual guy who's become a Formula One racer, I think it looks phenomenal, or it looks fascinating, at least I should say. Yeah, so it looks like a ton of fun, and the CGI doesn't look too bad either.
It really doesn't. CGI looks really cool. I like the whole. There's a scene where he's playing the video game, and then it slowly but surely like turns into the Formula One car. I thought that was well done. It looked really cool. That might be a fun movie to watch in like 40X or something.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and what's your favorite? What's your favorite car racing movie?
Does it have to be? You mean car movie in general, or can it be car racing or what?
Well, just car racing movie in general, or
okay,
car racing.
Car movie in general. Gone in 60 Seconds. It could be either the original or it could be the remake. It doesn't matter. Have you seen the original Gone in 60 Seconds?
Yeah, the one from the 70s.
Yeah, the one with that long ass chase that goes all the way through LA.
Yeah, it's like a 45-minute chase through like the city of Carson and stuff. Yeah,
absolutely. It's like barely any story in that movie. The chase alone is just worth your time. You're just like, wow. But now I really liked Gone in 60 Seconds. That was a fun movie. Like that was like one of my first really like enjoyable car movies. But like the better, more like if we're talking about just like well written, like because I got biased for Gone in 60 Seconds. I'm kind of biased when it comes to that movie. I'm in love with the Shelby GT 500, so that's another bias. But I think Fast and the Furious, the first one, was one of the more well done movies. I think Fast and the Furious is a really good underrated car movie. And I also feel like Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift gets a lot of hate that it doesn't deserve. But I'm here. A lot of people hate that damn movie, but I thought it was pretty cool, and I felt like it stayed within the realm of racing, so it kept it interesting, and it changed the element of it a little bit, took it out of the country. I felt like it took an interesting turn. But yeah, I think those. What is the name of that movie? There's a movie. Damn, what is it called?
Oh, the Mark Wahlberg one with Charlize Theron. That one?
No. It's an old movie. It opens look, it's not a car movie, but it has one of the craziest beginnings ever. This guy robs a bank and he hops into like this red Ferrari and he's running from the cops and he's just gunning it down the street, just gunning it, running people over, hitting stuff, like flying all over the place. And I forgot what it was called. You're
not talking Bullet, are you? Cause that's what I have not seen.
Definitely not Bullet. Rob's bank, red Ferrari.
Oh.
Let's see if I can find it. What the hell is that movie? What, dude? And it has what is this movie? And it's funny because it's like a 2-word movie. Like the title was like 2 words. It's all good. I'm gonna find it though. But that movie has one of the dopest openings ever. And I think it turns out like it turns out that the people are like there's like an alien or something controlling people or something like that. It takes a weird turn. It's crazy.
I would not have expected. Wow, that is. It's even weirder sounding now. Because like car racing movies generally don't turn into alien invasion stories.
It was
generally speaking.
It's a weird movie. Yeah, it's a weird movie. I know I have it somewhere. You know, it might be on my Vudu. Let me see if it's on my Vudu.
Nice.
But yeah, but that movie has one of it's not a car movie, but just that opening sequence really was like, oh, like that's a dope sequence. The sequence was amazing alone. I know for a fact I got this on my Vudu.
We gotta definitely check that out because like very few movies start off. Well, there's this great car chase, and then the aliens come down. So whatever that movie is,
it's a wild movie. Like it's crazy because like I'm telling you, the opening chase alone, it pulls you in, and like once you get past that, like the movie becomes interesting. It has like that 80's like cliche tropey shit, but it's so that opening sequence though, that shit caught me. Where is this damn movie? I know I have this movie.
Well,
I'm gonna find it.
While you're looking that up, I'll start my number one. My number one movie,
The Hidden.
The Hidden. Okay.
I told you it was like a 2-word title, The Hidden.
It almost sounds like a horror film.
I think it kind of is, but yeah.
So my number one movie for the month of August is Shortcomings. This is Justin H. Min, who from After Yang. This is Sherry Cola, who just was in the road trip movie across Asia. This is Randall Park. So he was Asian Jim on The Office, and he's Agent.
You were talking about Joyride?
Yeah, Joyride. Yeah. And Randall Park this is his directorial debut. He was Asian Jim on The Office. He was in Blockbuster, the TV show, the streaming show on Netflix. Randall Park has done a little bit of everything, and this is his directorial debut. Justin H. Min was in After Yang. He's in one of those Netflix streaming shows about superheroes. He plays the dead guy Ghost. And
that's a great way to be remembered.
Yeah. So this is a film where Justin H. Min is a guy in his, late 20s, early 30s, and he's not happy with his life, and he makes sure that everyone around him knows it. He's got a live-in girlfriend, he's a movie theater manager, and he's one of those guys that's intelligent, and he likes pointing out the faults in others, but doesn't really like looking in a mirror and looking at the faults in himself. Hence the title Shortcomings. This is a film that I've actually already seen, but it's been 6-7 months. I saw it at I think it was Sundance Film Festival, like January, February. It's a really fun type role where Sherry Cola plays his non-romantic interest best friend. They kind of make fun of everything and everybody together. And his girlfriend kind of goes off, and she moves across country. She moves to New York. He makes fun of New York, so she kind of sort of breaks up with him, and he realizes, oh crap, I miss her. So
typical.
Yeah. So I love that flick when I saw it. It's kind of one of those interesting ones too, where it's a directorial debut for Randall Park. So it's fun seeing an actor make that jump from the acting in front of the camera to behind the camera to the director's chair. So it's a great character study in terms of Justin H. Min's character. It's not apologetic for its point of view, but it also is one that I think speaks to a lot of us that we all make choices in life, and a lot of we all have pet peeves as well. So it's kind of taking a look in the mirror at a lot of those choices we make and a lot of those pet peeves that bug the ever-living crap out of us, and asking the question, okay, is it really that thing that's bugging the crap out of you? Is it really that pet peeve? Or is it really you? and it's not really saying it's either or, but it's a great character study, and Justin H. does a great job, kind of pulling that off in a fun comedy sort of way, but also with a little bit of depth to it. And I'll be really interested to see whether or not they've changed anything from when I saw it at the film festival to
Don't
this.
you love that when you see a movie and you're just like, I wonder if they changed anything, and then you go see it and it's the exact same damn movie. You're like, oh.
Well, and part of me part of me wishes that they won't change anything, but I'm really curious to see if they will change something. Because so many of these indie movies, part of what makes them special is the fact that the studios haven't just dictated a ton of notes.
Their fingers in it.
Yeah, so I kind of hope that they don't change it, because it's it plays with a lot of stereotypes and cultural tropes, and it's a little bit sarcastic. It's a little bit deconstructionist in its construction. So yeah, so I really loved it when I saw it at I think it was Sundance. I'm not sure. They all kind of blend together after about 6-7 months. But yeah, so Shortcomings is my number one movie for August.
All right.
So a ton of great, what looks like great movies on our list. Not a ton of blockbusters. I think only one superhero movie coming out this month, and it's on both of our lists.
Thank God.
And yeah, I think I don't have as much superhero fatigue as I think everyone else does, but like I do have fatigue for lack of creativity, and I think a lot of the superhero movies, especially looking at you, Marvel, looking at the MCU, I think a lot of the superhero movies the last couple of years, it's not that the genre is overdone, but the creators behind them, the writers and the directors, I think are probably a little bit superheroed out, and that's reflecting in the lack of high end superhero flicks the last couple of years. Because the Batman, I think, is still well done, but
it's well done. Just the third act was terrible.
Yeah, totally unnecessary.
To me, the Joker was a fantastic film.
Yep,
that was a fantastic film. Now, I'm scared that this next one's going to be a musical, but we'll see when we cross that bridge, I guess.
And why? It's one of those two that, like, the Joker 2, like, I get it, but that's almost one of those films that I think, let's not and say we did. And it's probably better off.
They're really trying to make lightning strike twice. I don't think
it's probably better off not doing it and just leaving it, but yeah, we'll see, though.
Because that shit has some of the Joker has some really good cinematography. I think the only flaw that I've ever had with the Joker movie was their choice of music when he was walking down the stairs and shit. That's the only gripe I had with the movie. That was the only gripe I had with that movie. I was like, you could have picked a better song than that. But like everything else was fantastic about that film. I mean, it had that cinematic moment, and I remember watching it in IMAX on a big old screen. And he does this, and he goes like this with all the burning cars behind him, and I was just like, that scene gave me goosebumps. I was like, that is a money shot right there. Yeah. I was like, that's going to be on posters. That's going to be remembered in time, and that is a super iconic scene. That was That's some of the best filming I've seen in a long time. Yeah. But yeah. I'm looking forward to the sequel. I'm just fingers crossed that it's actually going to be good. I don't like Lady Gaga.
Oh, yeah, that's right. She's going to be playing Harley Quinn, I think, isn't she?
It's too soon to see a Harley Quinzel, but that's just my opinion.
So let's look at your list. Reflect a little bit for me on your list. Any ones of these that you would change that we've kind of talked about, like any of these flicks, or do you stand by your list? Like
I stand by my list. I mean, to be honest with you, making this list was hard enough as it is. Like, like at one point I had Ninja Turtles on my damn list. Like, it was a hard thing to do, because I'm like, dude, like, there's not much that I really want to see. And even like these indie movies is like, I had to ask myself, like, okay, I would see this movie. It looks interesting if I just had money to blow. Let's just say I had, I don't know, a $200 budget specifically that had to be on movies. I'm for sure I could see these. I would be like, all right, these are the 7 movies I want to go see. Cool. But it's like, will I really sit down and actually track down these movies and pay to go watch most of them? Probably not. The only one that the only two I might see is Gran Turismo. For sure, Blue Beetle. I want to see The Passenger. I have Amazon Prime, so I should be able to watch that. The other ones, I mean, if I just so happen to run across them one day and I have the opportunity to watch them, I definitely will. But it's not something that I want to like go out of my way to go seek and watch. I know for sure for a fact, I could probably find a Strays screener coming up soon. So I know for a fact I could find one of them.
Now, how many
If I
of
really want
these
to see
are
that.
ones that, because they're indie movies, I think indie movies for the most part are ones that it's nice to see them in theaters, especially ones that have good cinematography. But how many of these 7 films do you imagine that you'll eventually watch, but you'll just wait till streaming?
Almost all of them. I think all of them. I don't see any of these movies making me really say like, "Hey, I want to go to the movies to watch that." So strangely enough, I would probably want to see The Passenger in the movie theater. I
Yeah,
think out
I
of
can see
all
that.
those movies that I listed, The Passenger I probably would want to see in the movie theater. All the other ones I can watch it on streaming. Like
Nice.
I'm not really too hell bent on like I have to watch like Gran Turismo. I got to see that in the movie theater on a big ass screen. You know what I'm saying? Like Blue Beetle, I got to see that. I feel like I can wait for Blue Beetle, but I feel compelled to review it because I have a movie channel or
Yeah,
whatever.
and Gran
So
Turismo to me looks like one of those that if you're not going to see it in theater, like, why bother?
yeah, exactly. Like I
Like,
feel like it's gonna devalue. That's a movie you got to see in. It's like Oppenheimer. Like you got to watch that in the movie theater, at least for
yeah.
the experience. Like watching that in Dolby. Oh my god.
My and if we look at my number my list, it's tough because you're right. August movies, there's nothing really that goes straight to the top of the list. So for me, when I look at this list, Shortcomings at number 1. It's a bit of a cheat because I've already seen it, but it's been 6 months. But all of these I really want to see, except Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle's sort of fills out the list a little bit. But all of these other top 6, I really want to watch. But there's nothing that really says I have to watch it in theaters.
I'm like thinking if there's anything I want to. I gotta look at the list for the movies for the rest of the year, but I don't know. There ain't really nothing that I say is dragging me to the theater that I gotta see it in theater.
I'm,
There's
I'm,
a difference between. I think with me, there's a difference between like I gotta go watch it in theaters because I want to watch this movie, and I gotta go to the theaters to watch it because I have to review it. That's the dilemma that I'm in. You know what I'm saying? Like I
yep.
want to continue to put reviews out there, and I want to review things that people will be interested in watching. So sometimes I do feel compelled to go to the movie theaters and watch movies that I would normally be inclined to wait for to stream, but simply because I have a review channel, and that's the dedication. I'm putting a lot of money. I'm putting a lot of money into my craft. So go
Me
ahead
too.
and
And it's funny because I can't believe that today is August 1st as we're recording this because I think I saw one movie in theaters in July because I've been spending so much time building up this podcast that I've been spending so much time reaching out to people and editing and posting that I haven't had as the irony of doing a movie review podcast is that I haven't had as much time to actually go to movies and review movies because I'm starting a podcast and all that extra time that it takes to build that up. So. Yeah, so I'm actually a little bit behind, so I'm going to be spending a large portion of this month. Like, I still haven't seen Barbie and Oppenheimer.
oh wow,
Yeah,
Barbie.
so
I mean, I understand Barbie. Oppenheimer. Shame on you.
well, I really want to see both of them, but it's just one of those where I've been so behind and so trying to build this podcast up that it's just
I think I go. I'm gonna wait for streaming for Barbie.
yeah.
I think I can wait for that.
It's
Yeah.
it looks a lot of fun, but it's one of those where like a lot of my friends that are not in the movie review space were even dressing up to go to Barbie and dressing up to go to Oppenheimer. So, and I'm like, God, they made it to the theaters and I didn't yet, so I
That's
still
funny.
need to catch up. Yeah. So final thoughts. on August summer movies. Like, are you happy with the summer movie slate that we got this summer? And
Is that a trick question? No, I'm just playing. I mean, look, like they're there. I mean, for sure, Blue Beetle and Strays and Ninja Turtles and Gran Turismo. Those are definitely the big names to look out for this month. Are any of these like must sees? I mean, Gran Turismo is. I think Blue Beetle is like niche. If that's something that you like, then definitely I would check it out. But I feel like the only one with real potential out of this whole month is Gran Turismo. Like at least in the world of cinema, like the other ones, the little indie ones that I named, those might be really good films, and I do want to check them out because there's been times where I regret not going to see indie movies. And then it's like, if I could redo my list from this previous year, I would have added this on there because it's one of the better movies, I think that happened with me when a Man Called Otto, like I saw it and I was like, damn, that was a good movie. I can't believe I missed that, and that's why before I did my list last year, I made it a commitment to track down The Whale and go watch it. And that ended up being in my top 5 too. So
another great flick.
I mean, look, August, nothing really much there. I can't even, honestly, from now to the end of the year, I can't really tell you, like, is there any movies that are really, like, out there to the point where it's going to, like, knock you off your feet, And that's bad, in my opinion, but, maybe after I do a little bit more digging, I can find something worth my time.
Yeah, the next couple of weeks is going to be when I'm starting to put together my rest of 2023 list to watch out for. So yeah, definitely one to keep an eye out for the rest of the year. Because yeah, I haven't even bothered looking at December yet. October, November, December, all the Ember months.
Well, December got 2 Christmas types of movies. You got Wonka and you got Color Purple.
Yeah, and then we also got Aquaman 2, unless that's been pushed back in the last week or so.
I mean, but I feel like Wonka and The Color Purple seem like movies that'll come out December-ish. I don't feel like Aquaman is a December type movie. That seems like a summer flick. So it's kind of weird that got put out in December, but hey.
Yeah, I think that was the one last cash grab because they already spent the money doing all the James Wan CGI, so they got to put it out at a time when it will make money. So
before I go eat dinner, because I gotta eat. Do you think that Aquaman 2 is going to have the box office success that the first one did, or do you think they waited? Do you think they waited too long?
No, I think based off of what we saw with The Flash, based off of what we saw, we will probably see with Blue Beetle. I think ever since they announced,
but I don't think they're expecting Blue Beetle to make a lot of money. They're expecting Aquaman to make a lot of money, though.
No, but The Flash was front and center at CinemaCon, and the fact that The Flash was so CinemaCon is studios presenting to movie theater chains the big summer blockbusters coming up. The fact that Warner Brothers' big presentation was The Flash, like they only allow a certain amount of time for each studio's presentation. The fact that Warner Brothers got up and did like a 30-minute presentation in every other film, and 2.5 hours of their presentation time was The Flash. So the fact that they world premiered The Flash at CinemaCon in front of theater chain operators.
But the thing is, that movie kind of went in. That movie kind of, I think it's a lot more. Like, I don't think there was a lot of things working in the shadows against The Flash. Like,
look, writer's strike, actor's strike. They couldn't promote it normally. There's no Tonight Show.
I mean,
I get all that.
You had Ezra Miller and his things, his antics, getting the negative press. People automatically pushed away from that film.
Absolutely.
You had the fact that this movie seemingly got pushed a lot, and people were kind of tired of waiting for it. You had the Zack Snyder fans who were upset that this movie was seemingly going to erase their universe and their possibilities of getting another Zack Snyder film.
But when aren't Snyder fans upset about something, though?
I don't know. These are the most delusional people I've ever met in my life. Like, I swear to
Release the Snyder Cut.
For those of you interested, I have a movie. I have a video on my channel dedicated to Snyder fans. It's called "How Do You Know You're in a Cult." Um, Go check that out. It's a very interesting video, and very informative too, and it exposes them for who they are, like how they're just angry, aggressive, like dweebs on the internet that insult you and call you out of your name and even racial slurs, just to try to get their point across. But anyway, yeah, so it had a lot of stuff running against it, and the fact that James Gunn announced like, "Yo, that whole universe is done for. Like, this is something completely different." And people go to see these movies because it has the continuity, you know, like, oh, this is going to lead up into this. But if you know that this movie is going to lead to a dead end, then why are you going to go watch it? Because it's like, I don't need to watch this movie. I could just wait for it to stream and then watch it on streaming, because it's not connecting to anything. There's no universe it connects to. This is the end, you know? So that movie had a lot going against it. So, I mean, Aquaman kind of has the same thing going against it, but I feel like it has less.
Yeah, and it's just such a, you know, when you have what are they called? When there's a president who doesn't win re-election, that's called a lame duck. Yeah. So when they have the last 3 or 4 months in office before their term ends, that's called a lame duck season or session. So I think we're very much in the lame duck session for what was the DC extended universe, and I think people know it. But also though, not just the Flash, everything that released between between June 16th and July 21st, those 4 or 5 weeks, no one was going to the movies. So everything that was released in a 5-week period in the middle of summer, when everyone's out of school, when everyone's on vacation, every single film that was released in that 5-week period was coming in below projections. In fact, they actually stopped releasing the movie projection articles on Variety and stuff for a couple weeks there. Like, I actually had to go and look when I was doing. I was looking those articles up, and even I had a hard time trying to find them, and I was looking for them. So
Barbie and Oppenheimer brought them back.
they did, but that's that's lightning in a bottle. Like our studio is not going to work with each other.
It's crazy that they had those two really go against each other, and it actually produced really good results. So
yeah,
I don't know what number Barbie's at, but Barbie's probably going. If Barbie kept the momentum that it had first week, that shit's going to hit $1 billion. I don't know if it kept this momentum up though.
And it's it'll be interesting because I still haven't seen it, but I hope that it's a good harbinger of things to come. But this whole summer movie season's box office, including,
I think they might do it $795 million. They might do it.
Yeah, but when you look at Indiana Jones failing, when you look at a lot of these films,
come on, but what is it? Right, Indiana Jones is off of the cusp of the Crystal Skull, which is a movie that everybody hated. Like that's not a really good predecessor. Like if you're trying to sell me on a new indie movie, your previous movie didn't sell me. So I mean, people are going to run off of that. The people watched that first Star Wars movie, the first movie about Rey. I forgot the name of it already. And then based off of that, people decided like, I'm not really messing with the other Star Wars movies like that. And you can see it in the box office numbers. Each movie made less.
True.
Let's see. Oppenheimer. How much does Oppenheimer do?
It's 300 or 400 million, I think, so far.
Yeah, so far it's at 400 million. Yeah. Damn, dude, Barbie's really gonna kill that shit.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
but it's also one of those two that we'll have to wait and see what it is and how many sequels it really does. Anyway,
I think the biggest reason is because Barbie has multiple viewing value. I can see people running Barbie back twice, dressing up and shit. It's a whole like experience. People going and dressing up and things like that. I can see people running it back twice. I can't see people doing that for Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer is like a one-time watch it. Damn, that was a cinematic masterpiece. I'm content with waiting until it gets on physical media. Like it's one of those movies. But yeah, man, it's time for me to eat.
Yeah. So, but before you go, tell me a little bit about what you have coming up. Like, what do you have coming up on Cinema Chop Shop on your channel?
Today, I just dropped the top 5 worst horror endings ever of all time. The video already went up. I have some really funny edits in there. You should definitely watch it if you guys get a chance. I think it's hilarious. And then just like, a little word of advice, wait for the Halloween one. I think it's pretty funny. But anyway, there's that, and then I also have some news about Terrifier 3. I don't think anybody knows what the hell I'm about to say. So I have some like news that I don't think anybody else has broken yet. So let's hope that I'm the first one to say it when I actually record the damn video. I got the thumbnail ready to go. I just need to actually sit down in front of the camera and do it. And then I'm planning to have a conversation about damn, what was it? What was it that started this conversation? Uh oh, The Exorcist started this conversation. Basically, we're gonna have a conversation, a roundtable discussion about how people like is there any logic or any rationale behind this idea that minority-led movies are automatically considered woke, right? There's been this damn stigma where every single time you have a minority character in the movie, is automatically there's some sort of agenda, is it's woke, is SJW, da 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 da. And we're just gonna have a conversation about it because the reason that even though we've been seeing it nonstop, when the Exorcist Believer trailer dropped and they showed the little African American girl, if you scroll through comments, you see people saying, "Oh my God, they replaced Reagan with a black girl." And you're just like, dude, this is a sequel to The Exorcist set years down the line. This girl has absolutely nothing to do with Reagan if you actually would have looked up the information. But the fact that people are looking at it and the first thing they see is skin tone, and they're like, yeah, I'm not watching this because look what they're doing. It's the same shit that happened with the Little Mermaid and all these other damn. Like I just watched it happen. I was just watching this happen with Mortal Kombat, the video game. Mortal Kombat 1 just showed Tanya, who was a character from Mortal Kombat 4, and people are pissed off at the fact that oh my gosh, she doesn't have white eyes, she doesn't have the bob cut. Where did this Wakanda Forever haircut come from? Like people are like paying attention to the most ridiculous shit, and we just going to have a little nice discussion about how the focus on skin color and race, how it's playing too much of a factor in people and people deciding whether they're going to watch a movie or not, and before they even watch the damn movie. So that's another one coming down in the pipeline.
Well, just thinking back to when Force Awakens, when the Force Awakens first trailer came out,
when they showed Finn
and they showed John Boyega, and people were like, "Oh my God, there's a black stormtrooper." I'm like, "Well, okay." In any of the original 6 Star Wars movies, did you ever see the skin color of any stormtrooper ever? And I would say
they were even more pissed at the fact that they thought he was a Jedi. I don't know. And I'm like, dude, you have Samuel L. Jackson as a fucking Jedi. Like, what are we talking about here? You have a little green midget. You have Samuel L. Jackson. Like, come on, dude. Like, really? Like, you have alien species being Jedis. Why can't a black man be a Jedi? Like, I'm lost. I'm lost here.
Yeah,
they really thought that John Boyega was going to be a Jedi, and they were so pissed off about that. It was the dumbest conversation ever.
Yeah, so that'll be an interesting video to watch and see that discussion take place.
If we could pencil you, we'll try to figure it out. We could try to pencil you in if you're interested.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
If it's a conversation you're willing to have.
Yeah, because it's a tough conversation to have because there's lots of thoughts. There's lots of thoughts and yeah, but yeah, I'd be happy to take part in the conversation. Absolutely.
All right, sure. We'll work it out.
Absolutely. Davey from the 80's. Cinema Chop Shop is the channel. Check it out. Watch, click, subscribe, all of that good stuff on his channel. And if you're still watching my channel, be sure to click, subscribe, share, all that good nonsense too. So, Davey from the 80's, Cinema Chop Shop, thank you for coming on Dragon Movie Guy podcast. August movie releases, and we will see you guys next time. See everybody.
Leaving the Dragon Lair.
Yes, leaving the Dragon Lair.